So, friends, then welcome to our today's class. And as we planned just now, so what we will be doing, we will be studying that indirect tax aspects now in our syllabus that also contains a substantial portion. Indirect tax means we'll be covering GST part. Okay, I'll be going to I'm going to share the screen with you right now. Just wait a minute. Are you able to see the screen?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You are able to see the screen. It seems something is wrong. I am unable to see the screen. What you are seeing exactly?
Home screen.
Some PPT. Are you able to? Yeah. I think now you'll be able to see. Are you able to see the PowerPoints?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now you are saying it. Introduction to GST. This thing you are saying. Okay. So coming to the concept of indirect tax, first we'll be understanding what is direct tax and what is indirect tax. Okay, so we can differentiate by using these concepts. If the person who is paying tax to the government directly bears its incidence, incidence means we'll understand the ultimate impact. If the person who is paying tax to the government is bearing its impact, ultimate impact, that will be called as direct tax. Whereas if the person paying tax to the government doesn't bear its incidence, or the same person collects it from some other person, who in turn collects it from some other person, and ultimately the incidence is borne by the ultimate consumer. That kind of taxes will be calling it the indirect tax. Okay, I repeat, a person who is paying tax to the government directly bears the incidence of the tax. That will be what tax? Direct tax. Okay, are you getting?
Sir.
For example, let us say, suppose you will say it will be easier for you to understand with the help of example. Suppose you are paying income tax, right? So out of your income, you will be paying your tax, and you will be bearing its the burden. That means tax burden is borne by the person who is paying. You are paying, ultimately money goes out of your pocket. But take an example of GST. GST, who is paying tax to the government? Whether you are paying or the shopkeeper who is selling you, who is supplying you the product, he is paying. Who is paying?
The shopkeeper.
Shopkeeper is paying. But you see, whether shopkeeper is bearing the burden, shopkeeper is transferring the burden to you, because you are the ultimate consumer and you have to bear the consequence of it. So ultimate incidence is borne by you. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
So the burden of tax can be shifted to another person in case of indirect tax. Whereas in case of direct tax, burden of the tax has to be borne by the person himself. Okay. That is how we can distinguish between direct tax and indirect tax. And direct tax is progressive in nature. Progressive in the nature means people who are having higher income, they are taxed at a higher rate. Okay. Rich people are taxed at a higher rate. Whereas in case of indirect tax, what happens? Everybody is taxed at the same rate. Therefore, it is called as it is in regressive in nature. Okay. All consumers equally bear the burden, irrespective of their ability to pay. Right? Understood?
Yes, sir.
And coming to indirect taxes, we have two kinds of indirect tax. One is in our country, one is goods and service tax, and what is the other one? Can you read it out?
Custom duty.
Cost of duty. And coming to direct tax, we have this tax. What is the name of their tax?
Income.
Income tax.
Income
Tax
tax.
on income.
Income tax, yeah. Income tax is a direct tax. GST and custom duties are indirect tax. Okay, these are the major taxes we are having. Okay, so now if you again if you want to learn what is direct tax, where the tax impact and incidence is borne by the payer. Impact refers to the initial burden, incidence refers to the ultimate burden. The immediate burden and ultimate burden is borne by the same person. That is called as direct tax. Okay, it is imposed directly on the taxpayer. A taxpayer pays the money directly to the government. Okay, direct tax is a kind of tax which cannot be shifted by the taxpayer to somebody else. Tax burden cannot be shifted. Whereas in case of indirect tax, the incidence is not borne by the taxpayer. Taxpayer means one person who is paying or who is depositing money with the government. He does not bear the ultimate impact. Okay, he acts like a middleman. He collects it from the consumers and deposit with the government. So he is an intermediary. Is it not? So indirect tax burden can be shifted. The consequence of the indirect tax is that it will be increasing the price of the goods and services. Because of indirect tax, price of goods and services will be increased. Is it not?
Yes,
You
sir.
are, yeah, fine. Now there are some features indirect tax has. First of all, we have listed out these 8 features. It is an important source. Government collects substantial amount of tax revenue from indirect taxes. Indirect tax collection exceeds the direct tax collection. More than 50% of the tax collection is from indirect tax. So it is a very important source for the government. It is a tax on commodities and services. Commodities as well as services, we have a kind of common tax. Okay, for goods as well as services. For sales as well as for some services, this tax is levied. And indirect tax burdens can be shifted in the way I explained you just now. And there is no perception of direct pinch. That means the payer doesn't feel that money is going out of his pocket, because ultimately what happens, the indirect tax is already included in the price of goods and services. The customer consumes the goods or consumes the services, he feels that is the price. So he doesn't feel the pinch. Price is already inbuilt, or tax is already inbuilt in the price. That is one more feature of indirect tax. It is inflationary in the nature, means it brings a kind of price rise. It has got a kind of spiraling effect. It increases the price of goods and services. Right. It is a very wider tax base, unlike direct tax base. Indirect tax, anybody who consumes any kind of goods or services pays indirect tax. Tax base is very wider. And it promotes social welfare also. How a taxation scheme can promote social welfare? Because through indirect tax, government controls the consumption of some seen goods. Let us say on alcohol, indirect tax is more. On, let us say, tobacco products, indirect tax is more. So by levying more taxes on these kind of goods, which you call it as the seen goods, SIN, seen goods. So government does a kind of social welfare. And it is in regressive in nature. You know that irrespective of the paying capacity, everybody has to pay tax at the same time. Okay, these are the some features of indirect tax. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what I exactly explained, the same thing is there in the subsequent slides. So in the video, you can pause it later on while watching the video. You can pause it and read this. You can understand how it is an important source of revenue, how it is a tax on commodities as well as services, how shifting of burden is possible, no perception of direct pinch. All these things has been explained here. It brings a kind of inflation, wider tax base. It promotes social welfare by taxing seen goods, and it is regressive in nature. All these things what I explained you right now, they are mentioned in this slide. You can read them out. Okay. Now coming to
Doubt is
GST.
there.
Yeah. Yes, please. You are asking
Sir,
something?
if yes, sir. So if we are paying, the customers are ultimately paying all the taxes, then why the taxes are levied on the services and goods? Because if we go to a restaurant and we pay for the meal, again GST is included in our meal. So ultimately we are paying. Then why service tax is levied on the restaurants?
Why service tax is levied on the restaurant? Okay, you're talking about service tax or GST?
Sir,
First of all, we are talking
GST,
about
now it is
GST, right?
GST.
Service tax is our list now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for some kind of services, GST is levied on the goods as well as services. Okay. GST is levied on certain supplies. It may be supply of goods or maybe it's supply of services.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So if you are consuming the services of a restaurant, of some
Yes.
restaurant, we will be covering that thing subsequently. Not all restaurant, of some restaurant. Yes, people consuming the services, then if that is within the GST applicability, then you have to pay GST on that. Okay, GST is levied on goods as well as services. And once it is leviable, GST is leviable, and you have to pay GST on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if it is not covered, if it is exempted from GST, then nobody will be charging GST from you. So gradually you will be able to understand that which are the goods, which are the services. It will take some time, maybe in next
Sir,
class.
but that is levied on the services only. But because they are in the hospitality industry, then they should also be paying some taxes because they are also running the restaurant and all. So how government collect taxes from them? Because they are running a business, then they are also liable to pay taxes. Then how they
Yes.
collect taxes from the restaurants and all?
Yeah, you see, there are various kinds of taxes. Suppose someone is running business, whatever may be the kind of business, whether hospitality industry or any kind of industry. So on their income, they pay taxes. As you are right, different kind of taxes they pay. Okay, for example, let us say they pay income tax. Okay, they
But
might be
the
paying some
GST
other
is
taxes.
only.
That is for that business. But another taxation scheme is there in our country, that is indirect tax. On certain products and certain services, this tax is applicable. That tax also has to be paid. So your point is that why there is multiple taxes? Is it right? Are you thinking in that line?
So multiple means if they are the tax has to be paid by the restaurant owner, then why customers are paying for that GST? Why it is included in the bill? That's what I'm saying.
You see, it is a
If
system
they
of
have to
indirect
pay the
tax is like that. Okay, like you see, system of indirect tax is that it is the consumer who will be ultimately bearing the consequences of indirect tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
Suppose
that
you
is
are
what I'm
consuming,
saying.
you see, it is, you can say it's a, subsequently the things will be clear to you. You can say it is a kind of consumption based tax or a kind of destination based tax. Okay, I was supposed to cover that thing. We are at the very initial stage. You see, that means ultimately the person who is consuming, suppose you are consuming it, then you have to bear
Yes,
the
sir.
consequence of the tax. If you are not
Yes.
consuming, you are also transferring to somebody else, then he has to bear the consequence of the tax. All other persons are middlemen.
Yes.
Okay,
So
that is the system
GST is
of indirect
only
tax.
paid by those who consume. Yes. Only customers
No,
have to pay.
GST are paid by the supplier, but the burden is borne by the person who is ultimately
But
consuming.
yes, I got it, sir.
Got it? Right. So things will be clear once we enter deep into the subject. We're still at the very beginning stage. So let me once again share the appropriate slide with you. Yeah, so these issues we are talking about, that these are the features of indirect tax. And in your, according to your syllabus, we have to cover a very basic things of the GST. And this is the journey of GST. So long back it has been started. So one thing you need to remember, finally GST was launched in our country on which date? Can you read this date? When GST was launched in our country, the system of GST. This date is important for us. We need to remember. Can you see it?
So 1st July 2017.
1st July 2017, midnight. So GST was launched in our country. Okay, that day is important. And relating to GST, so we need to understand what is the concept of VAT. Your syllabus contains that VAT. We need to understand what is that VAT. You might be knowing prior to GST in our country we had a tax system which is called as VAT. Is it not? Value added tax
Yes,
system.
sir.
So we need to understand what is value added tax. That what is GST also in the similar line. Let us understand what is this. First, let me explain you the concept of VAT first. Let us say, am I audible to you now?
Yes, sir.
Let us say someone is manufacturing a product. Let us say some of you is manufacturing a product like table. So to produce table, so you need some raw material. Is it not? So what kind of raw material you will be needing?
The wood.
Okay. Let us say you are purchasing wood, nail, paint, etc. You purchase all these things, right? Let us say you purchase wood, etc. for rupees 100. Is it visible to you? Not visible. I think it's not visible, no?
Yes, sir. Not visible.
Not visible. Is it visible? I think it is okay. Okay, let us say you are purchasing wood to manufacture a table. On this wood, you will be paying some tax. Let us say prior to GST in our country, we had the VAT system. So you will be paying VAT on this. Is it not? Okay, let us say you paid VAT 10 rupees. So totally how much you paid? 110. 110 you paid to purchase that material for manufacturing table. Okay, let us say the same table you are selling at 200. At what price you are selling?
200.
200.
200 is your selling price. And let us say VAT rate is how much? 10%. So when you purchase, you pay 10 rupees. Now let us say when you will be selling, you will be again paying 10%. So again 20 rupees you will be paying. Okay. So when you will be selling it as 220. Right? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, but why it is 200?
When you buy, you see, you purchase material for 100 rupees. You'll be selling at a higher price, no? You'll be, your other costs will be there, and also your profit element is there. So you purchase it at 100 plus 10%. That is 110 you purchase, and you're selling it as 200 plus 20. Because you purchased wood, you converted wood into a table, and you sold it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
you
sir.
sold it. Now question is that, now we'll say, when you are paying 20, you need to understand that on the table you are paying 20, but on the raw material also you have paid 10.
Yes.
Is it not? So here you are paying twice.
Yes, sir.
You have already paid 10 when you purchase the raw material. On wood you have paid, let us say 10. And again, on the final table you are paying 20. But if that is the system, let us say earlier, prior to VAT in our country, there is a system called as sales tax. Sales tax, you might have heard it, that is called as sales tax. When sales tax was there, here is one sale, you have to pay a tax. Here is one more sale, you have to pay another tax. Because there are two sales, two different sales transactions are there, you have to pay tax twice. Because that was sales tax. But VAT is not sales tax. In VAT, what happens? VAT means, can you tell me what is the expansion of VAT? VAT?
Value added tax.
Value added tax. That means ideally what should happen? You should pay tax on value additions only, not on sales. So when you converted wood into table, so that is a value addition or not? Whether you have added any value to the wood or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you added value. Tell me how much value is added? What is the amount? Wood has been converted into table. What is the value addition in rupee terms? What is the amount of value addition?
90.
No, 100 rupees is converted into 200.
200. Yeah.
Then 100.
100 to 200.
Okay, 100 rupees you added. So ideally, you should have paid tax on 100 rupees if it is a tax on value addition. Okay,
Yes.
but you are paying on 200 rupees. You should have paid tax on 100 rupees, but you are paying tax on 200 rupees because it's another sale. So how you can develop a system, or how we can use a system where you have to pay tax only on value addition. So under VAT system, what happens? You have to pay now 200 on 200. That means total 20 rupees you have to pay. But since you have already paid 10 rupees on input, you can take credit of that. That means 20 rupees is payable. Definitely 20 rupees your liability, but 10 you have already paid. So balance 10 is payable. Okay, already input you have already paid 10, so balance 10 is payable. So effectively, you are paying net amount how much? 10 rupees. Because 20 rupees is liability, but 10 rupees you have to set up. You are able to set up 10 rupees. Finally, you are paying another 10 rupees. The balance 10 rupees is to pay. Okay, if you do that, that means if you are paying tax on my finished products, but after setting up my input tax credit, then what happens? Ultimately, I am paying 10 rupees, which is 10% of the value addition. Effectively, I am paying tax on value addition. Understood? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
So that is the system of value added tax, and GST is also in the similar line. In GST also, we take input credit. Input credit means whatever tax has already been paid on the input, we will be able to avail the credit of that. Right? Okay, are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So GST is a kind of value added tax in that sense. That means in the output supply, you have to pay tax, or your tax liability is the output supply, but you are eligible to take credit on input supply. Okay, let us say your shopkeeper is charging you GST. Let us say from you it has collected GST on a, let us say he is selling you a particular product of 100 rupees. GST is 18%. So he has collected you 18 rupees. But when he has purchased that product, he might have purchased it for 50 rupees. On 50 rupees, he must have paid GST 9 rupees. So when he will be depositing the GST with the government, what he will do, on whatever he has sold to you, 18 rupees is to be deposited. Out of this 18 rupees, 9 rupees has already been available with him as input credit because he has already paid tax on that input. That will be reduced, and the balance 9 rupees is to be paid in cash. So ultimately, it will be tax on value addition. Okay. Like this, when there is a chain of supply, So continuously credit can be availed. So there will be a continuous chain of input tax credit under GST system. But finally, the ultimate burden has to be borne by the final consumer. The ultimate consumer will be bearing the ultimate burden. Okay, there will not be any tax on tax. There will be only tax on the value addition. On the input already it is taxed, and that can be adjusted with the output tax liability. So there will not be any tax on tax. Only there will be a tax on value addition. Are you getting this point? Are you getting or not?
So last point, GST doesn't differentiate between goods and services, and thus two are taxed at a single rate. Uh,
Oh, which one
that's
you are
what you
asking?
said. That is, there is no tax on tax.
There is no tax on tax. You want to understand what is the meaning of there is no tax on tax?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I could not.
Let
get-
us say, again, we'll go back to the same example. Let us say you are purchasing wood, right? And wood you have already paid tax, right? And
Yes, sir.
finally, you will be converting into a table. Again, you will be paying on
Yes,
tax.
sir.
But when you are paying on tax, whatever input tax, you are netting it off. You are adjusting that. That means input tax is not an expenses for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Input tax is not an expenses for you. So there is no tax on tax. In that way, there is no tax on tax. I will take a different example in subsequent slides. It will be easier for you. At different stages, how the input credit chain continues, you'll be able to understand. So there will not be any tax on tax. Okay. Is it clear or still some queries? Still some doubt you have?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Got it. Okay. So there are various kinds of taxes. Earlier we had, now all these taxes are subsumed with CGST, Central Goods and Service Tax. State, there are many taxes which state government was levying, and they are also subsumed with SGST. Now we are having only tax. There are some taxes which are not included in GST, like customs duty, customs cess, etc. So they are still there. And coming to the system of GST, there can be two kinds of system. One is called as the origin-based tax, which is known as the production-based tax. Another kind of GST system can be destination-based tax, that is consumption-based tax. Okay, in India, our GST law is based on destination-based tax. Destination-based tax means when you are exporting, there will not be any tax. When you are importing, normal tax will be levied. And what happens? The ultimate consumer, when the production is destined, where the production is reached, that consumer will be bearing the tax burden. And that particular territory, that particular state will be enjoying that tax. For example, let us say goods are produced at Gujarat, but ultimately consumer is from Orissa. And the destination-based tax, what will happen? Orissa consumer will be paying GST because he is the ultimate consumer. And Orissa government will be receiving that GST amount. Okay. The producing state will not be getting anything because this is a destination-based tax. Okay. So the place of consumption will decide the state that will collect tax. Which state will ultimately collecting the tax, that will depend upon the place of destination or the place of consumption. Are you getting this point?
Yes, sir.
And there are various models of implementation of the GST. Like GST can be levied by the center or by the state. But in our country, we are following a kind of model which we call it as the dual GST model. That means central government also levies tax and state government also levies tax. Okay. Two kinds of system is there in our country. It will be clear to you once you understand the concept. Once you proceed further, it will be understood. So we are following a kind of dual GST structure. And GST laws are applicable to whole of India. We have CGST, we have SGST, that is state GST. Different states have their different GST acts, and Central GST Act is also there. And we have also one more GST, which is called the IGST for interstate transaction. We have to pay a tax which is called as the integrated GST or IGST. Okay, so there can be CGST, SGST, and IGST. Okay, and for union territories instead of state, there can be UTGST, just like SGST, that can be UTGST. So these are the various kinds of GSTs that are levied in our country. Understood this? Can you tell me what are these GSTs?
GST, central GST, state
Yeah.
GST is GST, and IGST is integrated GST.
Integrated GST, union territory GSTs are also there. Okay, now whenever there is intrastate sale, that is within the state, there is some intrastate supply, not necessarily sale. Services are also included. Intra means within the state. Then you see two kinds of taxes are levied. One is, please read it out.
So CGST,
CST.
central GST, and another is SGST, state
SGST. You
GST.
consume anything from our state. Within the state, you consume anything. If you see the bill, you can find there will be two components because these are intrastate supply. So there will be CGST and SGST. Okay. Equally, the rates are same for CGST and SGST. Suppose total GST is 18%. Out of this, 50% is CGST, 50% is SGST. That means if GST rate is 18%, so 9% will be CGST, 9% will be SGST. Because it is within the state. If it is interstate, then what will happen? There will be only one tax. What is that? IGST. IGST. Interstate only IGST. Okay. And the rate will be the whole amount. That means the entire GST. That means here it will be 18% will be charged. If GST is applicable 18%, 18% IGST. If it is intrastate, then 9% CGST and 9% SGST. Okay, understood this concept? So today, friends, I just wanted to give you a kind of introduction kind of thing to this subject, indirect taxes. In the next class, we will be able to learn further. So it will be more clear to you. Today is a very introduction step. Okay, I understand that things